Hi, 8th grade. I am ready for math and lesson 13. And that tells me that we have lesson 14 and lesson 15. And then in your book, I think on your schedule, I told you that you will have tests after lesson 15. If I looked at the book right this morning, I don't have one of yours to compare it with, but if I looked at it right, lesson 15 is test. So that means that we'll do 13 today, that will be Thursday, and Friday we'll do 14, and Monday we'll do test. So it's one day ahead of your schedule. Now let me give you a little heads up here on this. This is a little different book. If you notice, we did not have quizzes. And please hang on to your book. Don't bring your book back this weekend because it's an open book test. How you like that one? Your test is open book. So you will be able to use your light unit to do your test. They must have known when they made this here book that there would be coronavirus and that students would be at home and that they could have their books right there. This is not cheating. This is real stuff. This is real math. You can look in the book to do your test. So anyhow, there's a change there in the schedule. I'm sorry about that. I should have compared my book a little better before I made out the schedule, but I just thought this light unit was like all the rest, you know. I didn't even look at it when I made the schedule here 3-4 weeks ago. So anyhow, today we're doing 13, and you should tear out some pages in the back of your book. What you're doing today is you're reconciling your bank statement with your checkbook registry, or you're comparing them. Reconciling is the word they used. It means you compare and to see if your check registry matches the bank's. And if it don't, I'm telling you, you're in trouble. Well, not too big a trouble though. So you go to page, it says on page 55 and 56, you can tear that out. And that is the bank, that's assumingly the thing that the bank would send you at the end of each month. Usually it doesn't come to the first of the next month, but that's your check registry, your bank statement that needs to compare with your check registry. Now you're going to compare that. You're going to lay it side by side with your check registry on, I'm not even sure. It is going to be, tear out Daniel's bank statement, use the bank statement check registry. I thought he was going to compare it. Yes, on 55 and 66. And then you're going to compare it with what you were doing. There we go. So you lay them side by side. And again, this is something your mom and dads do every month. Or I sure hope they do. If they don't, they're in serious trouble. Somebody has to do it. Or else you're going to have a terrible mistake. And I'll just tell you, it's stress for me to do it. It's stress because I'm a poor record keeper. And the other, I don't know if it was last month or the month before, my wife informed me that we're off 10 cents. And there's no way of finding it. Yeah, there has to be a way, you know. We're off 10 cents. Well, it wasn't important whether I had the 10 cents or not had the 10 cents. What was important that it didn't match. And so here we go, back through and comparing. The first thing you do is compare your check registry with your bank statement, okay? Is you look at every check that the bank has recorded, and then there's a little block. And that little box is between your payment withdrawal and your deposit check. There's just a wee little box there, and it's between the check amount and the deposit amount. And that little box is a place to put a check mark. So what you do, you compare. Did the bank show this check that I wrote to so-and-so? Sure enough, okay? Put a little check mark there. You go through, the number one thing is you go through and look at all your checks. They might not all be in. If they're not all in, that's no problem. That means that whoever you gave the check to still has it in their pocket. they haven't sent it to your bank, or they haven't taken it to their bank, or they may have taken it to their bank, but it may be slow in getting there. The mail may be slow. Because every check you write, whoever you give it to, for those people to get the money, that check has to come back to your bank. And so your bank will get a copy of it. Now, the second thing you do, number 2, I am on page 48 in case you are lost. Oh, forgot, you're supposed to read page 47, okay? I didn't do that, I told you that one. So now number 2 is compare the deposits. And you see you did the first column, and if the check was written, you check it off. And now you do the second column, which will be the deposits. And again, you compare your bank. Your bank has got a place there where you made your deposits. You check them. If they're made, you check them. Now, sometimes you make deposits. Like if I had made a deposit 3 days after the bank statement ended, I would have it recorded in my check registry, but it would not show in the bank statement. So that's no problem. Don't check it. Okay, don't check it. Okay, number 3. If your bank charges a service fee on your bank statement, then write that in your check registry. Sometimes banks charge you to have a checking account. And I've never paid for a checking account. Okay? I've never paid. And I don't intend on paying if I can at all get a free checking account. I was in Belize and I worked there for a while, and I worked under AMA, and I was responsible to balance the checkbook. I was responsible to keep the thing balanced. And there, not only did they charge you a monthly fee, they charge you an amount for each check. If I remember right, every check I wrote, it cost me 40 cents, I believe. The bank would charge me 40 cents to process a check. Well, when I first started keeping the check registry, the person that was before me just gave it to me and said, here you are. He said, it's a mess. He said, end of every month, he said, I usually just reach in my pocket and make it balance out because it won't balance out. He said, it's just a mess. He said, this is a poor system. Well, I was there for a while, and so it wasn't the first month I started looking and comparing. Oh, here was service fees. There was a check service fee. There was a account service fee. I started adding those all up, and guess what? It balanced. It worked. It was a little bit of a hassle though. So that's what I'm telling you, service fees. Number 3, you have to write those down, and those are subtracted. The bank took that money out to do all your transactions for you. And the next one is number 4, if there's interest. Now, they tell me, and I've heard of these accounts that pay you interest. I do not have a checking account that pays interest. Now, if you put it in a savings account, you'll get interest there. Not much. Unless it's some CD or some other account, you'll get a little bit, but not much. Interest is almost nothing nowadays. But maybe you can find a checking account that does. If you do, latch on to it, take it. And most of the time, they say you have to keep $10,000 in the bank account. Ooh, that'd be hard for me to keep $10,000 in there. It's usually empty. Now, number 5. Reconcile the statements. Start with the final balance on your bank statement. Okay? Now you're going to reconcile. I guarantee you it won't be the same if you kept writing checks and you kept making deposits. Time you get your bank statement, it's changed. It won't be the same number. So now you start with your bank statement. If the bank says you have $3,200 in it, now you start there, and look what you do. You add any outstanding deposits. Okay, if any deposits that you made, you add them. And if you had any checks that you wrote that didn't have that little check mark on it, or any deposits, you subtract those. Okay, you get that? Add your deposits, subtract your checks. That's from the bank statement balance. And this time it should equal what you have in your checkbook. When you do all of that, it should equal that. And now, draw double lines under that or write OK beside it. However you want to do back here at the back on the far side of the balance. If it matches, you say OK. Or you put double lines underneath it. That way you know the next time you balance back up to that double line. Say, oh yeah, I was with the bank here. So the next statement you would start and go back up to there. If it does not balance, then you have to do the next part on page 48. Number 1, match the receipts the bank gave you each time the deposit. Number 2, look again at the checks listed in the bank statement. Okay, compare with the amounts you wrote in your check registry. See, you might have added or subtracted wrong. I tried to help you with that. And number 3, double check any interest payments or service fees. Okay, double check, make sure the bank wasn't charging you interest or paying you interest or charging you a service fee. Number 4, check all addition and subtraction in your checkbook registry. Ooh, check out your math. And number 5, if it could be that the bank made an error, if you cannot reconcile your checkbook and the bank statement, take it to the teller, and the teller will help you. I've never had to do that. The only time that there's been an error on my account was if they deposited some money, or no, if they withdrew some money from my account that wasn't supposed to, or something like that. You can ask Megan about that on her account. She had a few dollars in her account, and the bank withdrew $5,000 from her account. And I think she had $100, or I don't know what she had in the bank. It wasn't much, and so they sent her a big fee for overdraft, and so we had to go talk to the bank, tell her about that one, and they corrected it. Alrighty, you are ready, set to go. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask your mom and dad. They should be well able to help you with this one. Have a good day.